Welcome to Game of Roses. I'm Chad Kulchin, and it is Monday, which means this is going to be Digging Deeper. I'm going to be breaking down some of the top clips from podcasts around Bachelor Nation and outside of Bachelor Nation. We also have some Survivor clips, and I believe we have some Love is Blind clips as well. We, of course, have some clips from Viall Files. But it is important to note, today is Monday, which means tonight is the finale of Grant Ellis's historic Bachelor season 29. Is this going to be our last season of The Bachelor forever? Probably not, but maybe for a few years. That is my prediction. I think it will come back resurrected in some kind of new renaissance after they kind of clean house. But we still don't know what's going to happen tonight at the After the Final Rose, which is going to be being produced by, I don't know. Nobody knows. Not Bennett Graebner and Claire Freeland. That is for sure. They are out. So we don't know what's going to happen tonight at the After the Final Rose. I'm very excited to see how it's going to all go down. But right now, I'm going to be rolling through 14 of these clips. We got Bachelor Happy Hour. We got Viall Files. We got the Sam Sanders Show, reality TV Unfiltered, which had Rachel Lindsay as a guest. We have some Off the Vine clips. We have Curious Crossroads, which has Joey from Love is Blind talking about various things about his experience in the pods, etc. We got a few clips from Long Winded with Gabby Windey, and we have a clip from the Survivor 48 podcast at the very end with DL Jeff. That's Dark Lord Jeff Probst for those in the know. Thank you for joining me. Let's jump right into this if we shall. And by the way, if you're just listening to this, we're now putting video of Digging Deeper out on our Patreon as well. And you can get that at patreon.com/Game of Roses. So in the event that any of these podcasts have video clips like Bachelor Happy Hour does, Viall File does, you can also watch those videos along with me as I'm watching and listening to them. So here is our first clip. Oops, I messed that up. Sorry. Here is our first clip. I'm trying out some new technologies. Our first clip is from Bachelor Happy Hour. In this first clip, Serena is asking Rachel how she would navigate the fantasy suites if she was a lead, and Rachel puts her hat in the running for Bachelorette. Here we go. Let me see if I can do this correctly now. Here we go.
It's hard when you're trying to lead the show as an independent, but then also trying to act within a relationship and take your potential future partner's feelings into consideration at the same time as like leading the show and dating multiple women. But Rachel, how would you have handled Fantasy Suite Week if you were the lead?
I wouldn't be intimate with any of them, and I wouldn't tell them because I would want them all to think they're going home. And they would all just be like, "Oh my gosh, like, bro!" Like, I can picture them talking to the producer, be like, "Dude, we didn't do anything. I'm going home." All three of them.
That's how I would be too.
That's
I would want
amazing.
everyone to think that too.
I want them all to think
You're
they're leaving.
scared. Dude,
Yeah,
imagine a
please.
life
I want
without
them-
me, motherfucker.
Yeah, I want them all thinking the Duke Rose ceremony, and
Being like, it's me. She's not giving me a
yeah,
rose.
I want them all to
touch
think they're going
me.
home. So it's an equal game. So I've thought about this because my mom asked me it actually. She was like, if it was you, what would you do?
And if they were like, "Oh, are you just not being physically intimate with everyone?" You could be like, "I don't know, just not
I just
tonight."
feel like I feel in the moment. I just feel like we're just not it right now. Make them scared. It's just scared.
That's so toxic, but I love
But Reach,
that.
please walk away. What if they're like, "Oh my God, this isn't me. I gotta go."
If they need sex.
And no. Like even if you were like,
Like if you scare them too much, where they panic and
you
leave.
scare them too much, and they go to the
Oh.
producer like,
I
"Clearly
just
not me.
want
I need."
Kelsey Anderson put a note like we need to talk, and then just have a
Hi,
chat.
Kelsey Anderson. Daisy, what would you do?
I don't know. I'm getting anxiety.
No.
We're like, and we're never making Rachel the Bachelorette. Okay, she's gonna put these men through hell.
Yeah. She's producing her own show.
That would be the most dramatic season.
Honestly,
you
at
and
this
your ITF
point-
just being like, yeah, no, I'm just fucking with them.
I'm
Actually.
the only single girl in the group, so it's like at this point, make me Bachelorette because
Can you actually like bring it back and do the Bachelorette and have it be Rachel?
You never know. You never know.
you never know.
Well, there you have it. A very interesting clip coming from Bachelor Happy Hour, excuse me, which is rare, I would say. You don't usually think that you're going to see a good clip coming from Bachelor Happy Hour, but here we have the 3 councils that appeared in the Fantasy Suites round. It was Rachel Nance, it was Katie Bigger, and it was Daisy Kent. Now, before we even get into the clip, I still am wondering if their matchups with the councils mean anything long term, or if they're trying to give us a hint of what the actual show is going to end up being. We saw Rachel Nance counseled with Zoe, who wound up getting 3rd place, as did Rachel Nance. We saw Katie Bigger wound up counseling with Juliana. Katie Bigger, or no, did I get that wrong? I think it was Daisy Kent, sorry, the 2nd place, the runner-up from her season for Bachelor Season 28, Daisy Kent, counseled with Juliana. Will she get 2nd place? And then we saw Katie Bigger, who won 1st place in Bachelor Season 27. That was Zach Shawcross. She counseled Latia. Will she get 1st place? Will any of that mean anything? So far, it has lined up exactly correctly. Now, let's move on to this, the idea of what you should do in the Fantasy Suites. By we, I mean me and Lizzie. We have talked about this so often and in such depth that I don't think anybody else has thought about it this much, even players who are in the situation. There are so many ways you can play Fantasy Suites. I mean, Rachel Nance is talking about if she was the lead, she would make everybody kind of on edge and wonder if they should be there, which you're a lead. You can do whatever you want. But if you're a player, there's basically kind of 2 paths you want to go down with the Fantasy Suite. Do you want to make it very good using high level chemistry play, or do you want to make it very bad using low or no chemistry play? There are arguments to be made in both cases, depending on what you want out of the season. If you want to win that ring, you got to make it good. If you want to win the crown, you got to make it bad, because what goes on in the Fantasy Suites never really comes out of the Fantasy Suites. Even there was conjecture with on Zach Shawcross's season with Rachel Recchia that in that Fantasy Suite, he said something. I mean, Zach Shawcross's rookie season, sorry. There was conjecture that in that Fantasy Suite, he said something that was in some way inappropriate, politically, socially, whatever, and that is what made them kind of like break up immediately. We never really knew the truth of it, though. And so I think once you go into the Fantasy Suite, even if you underperform or do something weird, it very rarely is going to come out unless you're looking at a Juan Pablo Galavis Bachelor Season 18 type scenario where both Claire Crawley and Andy Dorfman came out of those Fantasy Suites saying, this guy's a horrible piece of shit, and he got turned into a huge villain. They both became crowns. But I don't know in terms of a lead, the way you want to play it. We've seen a complete celibacy Fantasy Suite in Sean Lowe, arguably the greatest season of all time in Bachelor. We've seen an attempt at it with Zach Shawcross, but he then obviously went on to have sex with Gabrielle Elnicki, and that came back to kind of bite him in the ass a little bit, but not too much. He still wound up with Katie Bigger. And then we've seen, people like Caitlin Bristow having sex even before the Fantasy Suites with obviously somebody who did wind up going to Fantasy Suites and Nick Viall eventually. But there are a lot of different ways to play it. I think the making everybody squirm method of playing it is probably wrong. I mean, I know she's kind of saying it in jest, but I think it's maybe not the best way to go about it. Let's move on now. Our next 2 clips come to us from those luscious Viall Files. This first one is from an episode with Sarah from Temptation Island, Heather McDonald, Love is Blind's Sarah, and Temptation Island's Mark Wahlberg. They also were talking about The Bachelor, Women Tell All, and Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. In this first clip, we've got Dark Lord Wahlberg laying out the timeline of Temptation Island and how it's responsible for the birth of the Bachelor franchise. I don't know about all this. Let's take a listen.
Okay. Well, I have not watched Temptation Island since my sophomore year of college, and that was season 1 when it was
Like what year?
Fox, like 2001. Was that not?
No kidding.
Yeah, when it was like on Fox.
That's the original.
The original. I was like all in.
Yeah, that's like before there was reality. It was like Big Brother, Survivor, and they're like, what if we did like a dating Survivor thing, and then I'm in Belize, and we're trying to figure this out and make the whole thing up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I'm so fascinated about like Temptation Island is that how many years have you guys have been running? How many seasons have you done? Like I don't even...
Well, it's a crazy thing. So we did Fox, and it was like the highest rated show in the history of Fox. And kind of because of that, The Bachelor started over at ABC, started this whole thing. I'm not taking credit, but hey, it's It is what it is. I'm only kidding. And then we did like 2 or 3 seasons. We did 2 on Fox and then 1 on Fox reality cable channel that like 4 people watched. And then it went away. And I went and did my thing, jump from show to show. I did Antiques Roadshow for a bunch of years, some game shows, Moment of Truth, which was a crazy show. And then out of the blue, I read in the trades, they're rebooting Temptation Island. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, that's cool, but they're never calling me. And then I got a meeting and I walk into the meeting. I'm like, it's kind of like, I felt like I was in that meeting, like when Morgan Freeman's in Shawshank and he's having his parole meeting.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, I know what you guys think you need, but I don't need your stamp of approval. And I kind of walk out of there like, yeah, whatever. And then, 2 weeks later, my wife and I are on a plane to Hawaii. So,
wow,
you just can't figure it out.
All right, an interesting clip here, to be sure. I just don't agree with what he's saying. Temptation Island was not the reason Bachelor became The Bachelor. Mike Fleiss had another show on ABC called Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire that aired, I believe, roughly the same time. I'm going to actually look this up right now. Hang on a minute. Let's see this. Let's see if we can see this. I'm going to look up Temptation Island season 1 air dates. Okay. And that is going to be January 10th, 2001. Now I'm going to look up Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire air dates. That is going to be, why is this? I can't find. Who Wants to Marry a Multimillionaire? Is this it? I believe this is it. February 15th, 2000. So it actually predates Temptation Island. That was, of course, Darva Conger was the woman who married this guy. And that is, that's Mike Fleiss's first show. So technically speaking, Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire, if you want to get into the chronology of it, Dark Lord Wahlberg, Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire gave birth to Temptation Island, which gave birth to Bachelor. So ultimately it all goes back to Fleiss. And he's also talking about when reality first started. I hate to break this to you, Dark Lord Wahlberg. Reality first started in 1947 with a little show called Candid Camera. And I mean, depending on how you define reality TV, but the broad definition of it is regular people, not actors, put into kind of heightened situations that are governed by the producers and forced to react to those. Can be in a group, can be solo, whatever. This Candid Camera goes all the way through the 60s into the 70s when you have This American Family on PBS, all the way through the 80s where you start getting, I guess even in the 60s, you had like the Dating Game, Newlywed Game, all this kind of stuff. Those are really the precursors to Bachelor and all the modern dating games, all the way up through Love Connection, which I highly recommend if you've never seen that. Check out some clips. They're all over YouTube. But Mark Wahlberg, unfortunately, gets it completely wrong here. Didn't expect that from him, but that is how it happened. Now, let's move on to our second clip, also from these luscious Viall Files. Hang on a minute. Let me get rid of that. And this next one comes to us it is Nick asking Dark Lord Wahlberg how much switching teams we can expect on this season of Temptation Island. And Dark Lord Wahlberg goes on to talk about questions asked in the audition and interview process. Here we go.
So yeah, how quickly have you seen it? Or can we expect this season, how much switching teams can we expect?
I don't think you have to wait too long.
Okay.
At the first episode, I asked them all the question, what rules have you set?
Yeah.
And almost all of them are like, no touching.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really work hard not to have judgment, but it was all I could do not to just laugh out loud and go, you guys, have you seen this? Have you seen the show? And are you being real? And so I say as lovingly as I can, I respect your rules. I hope the best for you. But I kind of chuckle because this experience, which I still think you think is a TV show, and it gets real fucking real.
Yeah.
And I also say this to them, and the longer you manage yourself trying to be what you think that TV thing is, the longer it's going to take for this to hit you like a ton of bricks. And the sooner you just lean in, the more, if there's something that actually is legit that's going to change your life in the future, that's your access.
Interesting. I don't know much about this show. I've never seen Temptation or the modern one. I saw, I think, the first season whenever it was back in that early 2000s, because I kind of watched all those second wave shows that were coming out right around that time, because it's when I graduated college and was trying to get a job in Hollywood as a writer, and it was like, oh shit, reality TV. This is taking big chunks out of every network lineup that could have gone, or even prior to that would have gone, to scripted shows. So I was paying very close attention to it, but I haven't seen this show in a long time. So I don't actually know all that much of what he's talking about here. But the idea that you have to kind of drop the persona, the facade that you're trying to put on for reality television, or it won't work, in quotes, is 100% wrong. I mean, both these clips, I just can't disagree with what he's saying more. One of them is factually incorrect. This one, I think, has been proven, at least in my mind, by the best players in the history of reality TV. It's been proven false. The best players know exactly what to do in front of the camera. And yes, that requires using some basis of your own persona, some augmented version of who you actually are, or a relationship or a circumstance that you're actually in, just like pro wrestling. But it's only the people who can augment that, push it forward a little bit, who I think really ascend to becoming reality TV stars. Because if you're just going into it trying to convey that you're naive, or maybe you even are, or that there is no persona, there's no distance between you and what is on that camera, it just doesn't work. You can't hold up like that. To be a real reality star, you have to be able to kind of reproduce that character that you're playing in whatever show you might be on. And if you're not aware of the fact that you're creating a character, that you are presenting a kind of falsified version of yourself or an augmented version of yourself, I don't think you can replicate it. So you might be able to turn in one really good season by just going in there and, in quotes, being exactly yourself and being vulnerable and all that kind of stuff, but you won't last as a reality star. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what he's talking about, that it's better to do it for just a single season of that show. Nonetheless, let us now move on to the Sam Sanders show. This show had Rachel Lindsay. Maybe you've heard of her as a guest. We've got 3 clips from it. In this first clip, Rachel Lindsay talks about the importance of good casting and why network executives won't take a chance on certain people. This is a fascinating clip. Her whole appearance was fascinating. So let's take a listen to it right now. If you want to hear this clip and all the rest of this clips, and you want to hear every Digging Deeper Lizzie and I have ever done, and you want to hear and watch along with Lizzie and I in Pace Case Palapa in Clues Corner, which right now I'm doing the first season of House of Villains, quickly the second season of House of Villains also. And I have mixed feelings about the show, but overall I love it. If you want access to all that, and you want access to our Game of Roses Discord and our live shows, I know I'm probably leaving something out. There's a lot of stuff on our Patreon. If you want to get all of it, just join us in the pit at patreon.com/Game of Roses.
Please rate this podcast. Please review this podcast. Please get a friend to listen to us. And then please rate this podcast. Please review this podcast.